Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit. Today we are joined by Chris Massaro, the CEO of TSEG, and Shea Litchy, the COO of TSEG. Shea, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you. We're excited to be here.
Can we start out, Chris? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your role at TSEG, what TSEG is, and then Shea, we're going to follow up with you with the same exact question.
For sure, yeah. TSEG in the most simple form is really built for law firms and it's marketing for lawyers, right? So when it comes down to a law firm wanting to generate cases, especially digitally, we're the ones that go and find cases for them. We make sure they show up when people search for them. If we want to run paid and get people to find them, that's what we do. So, I've been in this working with TSEG for 14 years now. Started straight out of college, worked my way up from the bottom, cold calling lawyers on day one, which was a blast. And then we have Shea here, who has somewhat of a similar story, and I'll let her take it from here.
Yeah, so I've also been working at the company for 14 years. Started just before Chris did, so I always give him a hard time about that. But yeah, I actually started as a part-timer straight out of college, moved into full-time, and then kind of bounced around to managing various departments in the company, which has kind of set me up for success in the current role as COO now, because I've had to understand how each of those systems work specifically and how we're running campaigns, whether it be for SEO, for LSA, paid search, even being a big part of the website build process. So I think that definitely has given me a giant understanding of how we operate as a whole. And then also, I'm very involved in the people that we have. Whenever I first started, I remember how important it was to have that company culture there. And so that's something that we try to, carry on now that we're leading the company.
Awesome. Well, Chris and I were speaking before the show began sort of about the search engine guys and how the search engine guys became TSEG. And, he had mentioned that you were at the time were working in the SEO space, but that you've grown beyond that. And Chris, I would love it if you could explain a little bit how that growth came about, how that developed, and how that transitioned from doing and focusing on just SEO and how that all blossomed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back before I was with the company about 18 years ago, SEO was all you needed to do, right? You'd do SEO, you'd show up first everywhere and cases would fly in. The word got out on that pretty quickly, and all the competitors showed up, and it became a little bit more complicated than just doing a few backlinks and content to a website. That being said, SEO is still, still frustratingly probably the core part of our business. And I only say that because it's a ton of work and it's just gotten more and more competitive over the years. But when it comes down to it, SEO is still the most profitable part of all of our clients' business. We do case study after case study of testing. Hey, where are you getting your best cases from? It's always SEO, right? And if you think about it logically, that makes sense, right? Versus a standard paid case, right? Someone's searching for a car accident, they click a paid ad, they're in a rush, they fill out a form. They're not putting a lot of thought into it. Someone that comes in from an SEO standpoint, they know they have a good case. They're doing their research. They're looking at all the top people on Google. They're looking at your reviews. They're looking at, everything to do with your website. So it's just typically a higher value case, but long-winded way of saying we've had to evolve significantly over the past 14 years, really mastering Google paid, Facebook paid, Instagram, TikTok, even the native platforms. It's our job to keep clients' costs low when they're going to find cases, to keep their ROI high. And the more money and, that comes into this space and competitors, the harder that job gets, which is pretty good job security for us. But we've really evolved into a full service agency where it comes down to, hey, which platform should we be on? Really managing our ad spend like a portfolio, right? If one platform's not going well, we're shifting it to another, right? Just making sure that we're always focused on delivering the best ROI for our clients.
Yeah. And Shay, I'm curious, during that period of, evolving and changing and growing, can you talk a little bit how some of the operations of TSEG and some of the different aspects of the business had to change and evolve as well?
Yeah, I think, one thing that we really had to do is clean things up on the operations side, put in systems that are repeatable, that allow us to be efficient. And also, I think really investing in our team. That's something that we've done the past few years, where we've found very experienced, amazing people that we can completely rely on and trust, and they're experts in their field and what they do. And so I think like allow us deciding to put resources into building these experienced teams, and then at the same time working with them to put in these different systems in place to allow us to work efficiently. At the end of the day, that will bring better outcomes for our clients because everybody understands their role. They understand how things need to get done. We can do it quickly. And then we also have the reporting put in place to be able to make sure that the campaigns that we are running smoothly.
Right. And what are some of the metrics that you are measuring to make sure that those campaigns are successful?
All kinds of things. I would say,
imagine,
getting the tracking set up, I think is most important. I think a lot of firms can make the mistake of not having the proper tracking set up. So they get these leads in and they don't know where they're coming from. And then they're just throwing their marketing dollars at platforms, or even whether it even be like traditional advertising, like billboards or TV. And it's really just eating up all of their money. And so for us, we want to make sure that the proper tracking is put in place. So we've built, attribution systems that allow us to see exactly where these high quality cases are coming from.
Oh, yeah.
We're tracking everything from like beginning to end. So, starting with when that phone call comes in,
right,
the form is filled out, understanding what source it's coming from, analyzing how the intake team is doing, analyzing the injuries that were sustained, what the case is for, and then even going a step further than that, looking at if the case was signed, and then eventually getting settlement numbers from our clients. So.
And Chris, maybe you can speak a little bit on this. I'm curious, with this, when TSEG is coming in and helping these law firms with case acquisition. I mean, are there any other things that TSEG is doing that is really helping those businesses with sort of sustainable scalability? And how are these businesses, when they're coming in, not getting overwhelmed, right? Is that an issue?
It is. It's a huge issue, and to the lawyers' credit, this is an industry that's extremely competitive, but it has a ton of ROI and money in it for that reason. So lawyers get taken advantage of by companies that promise the world, and I call it fluff, right? Like every sales agency out there is selling the next big fluff item. Like, look at how much visits I get to your website. Look at all this traffic, blah, blah, blah. What we've really done successfully over the past 5 years is take the guesswork out of it for our clients. And that may not get us as many sales as the next guy, but I guarantee you we have clients stay with us longer. And I think the reason is because everything that Shay just said, you're tracking everything from the beginning to the end. It can be scary for a marketing company because if you're not doing a good job, you're exposing yourself. And honestly, I think that's why a lot of our competitors refuse to do that. And it was scary for us when we really transitioned to that. It's like, well, what are we going to find? My mindset was always, if we find something not working, we need to change it. And we need to know about it. Our clients need to know about it. So we've really developed true partnerships. Like when I'm talking about I say a client, but they're really partners of ours. I say my firm in California, my firm in Kentucky. I treat it like it's my business, right? And a lot of the products that we've developed have been developed based on one of our clients struggling, right? Is it intake tracking, right? We use AI to now listen to all of the intakes that come in for law firms, identify, potential problems, potential missed cases. And then kind of to tie into everything what Shay said is we're taking it all the way from platform to fee, right? Revenue for the firm. And it could be an 18-month, 24-month window, but we're tracking that over a 5-10 year relationship with some of these clients. It takes all the guesswork out of it.
Right.
This is the SEO is getting, this much fee. Paid is this, and it's not just paid, it's Google paid versus Facebook paid versus every platform they're on. And the calls are just so much smoother. It's very
Right.
high level business decisions. Hey, your SEO is bringing in the most. Let's open up more offices. Let's put more money in that to increase your cases. And it's pretty awesome when a client of yours trusts you and opens up a whole new state, a whole new office, spends
Right.
a ton of money to get this set up. And they're like, well, hopefully we get cases. I trust you on this. But that's the true level of partnership it is like when I say, hey, open up an office in Nashville, they say, okay. And it works out. It's pretty awesome. But that's the type of partnerships that we have.
Yeah. And what percentage of those case acquisitions would you say are coming in through kind of a referral system? And what percentage would you say is coming in through digital acquisition?
It varies significantly per client. And when you say referral, you're talking more on like a law firm to law firm referral.
Correct.
Yeah, I would say at least most of our clients, it's probably 75% digital, 25%
Oh,
referral.
wow.
I mean, referrals are still great to have, but
Yeah.
when we're looking at clients and we know that data because we're tracking it, right? We know if they get 200 cases in a month, we know where they're coming from. And I'd say
Right.
75, 80% of them are coming from either digital means or, somewhere where there's kind of
Yeah.
paid advertising, not just a direct referral from a colleague.
Absolutely. And Shea, we were discussing that sort of scalability of the clients that work with TSEG and how, they can ensure that they are, sustainably scaling. But I'm curious, what sort of, being on the operations side of things, what sort of systems are in place within TSG that allowed TSEG to handle its own kind of rapid growth? How is it internally handling that scalability?
It's something that I feel like we've had to deal with multiple times throughout the years where we all of a sudden have a year of tremendous growth and we kind of had to stop what we're doing. And instead of trying to just reactively try and put, band-aids on things to get things done quickly and to keep, the ball moving, we have to really make sure that we take a step back and look at the bigger picture and make sure that we have a good foundation to start with. And sometimes it means like, guys, like everyone needs to stop what they're doing. Let's call a meeting and let's figure out a better way to do this. And so, I think just creating that sense of alignment, getting feedback from the teams, because, they're the ones that are running the campaigns, whether it's somebody that's on our, Facebook ad team or somebody that's on our SEO team, getting feedback on what they need. And that way that we can build out those processes internally and provide them with the information and the resources needed to be able to, continue to grow and scale without having those speed bumps.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, you hear this term over and over again is this idea of alignment, right? Of everything has to be aligned. But, how do you ensure that, operations and systems and processes and procedures are all in alignment, driving towards that end goal of ultimately helping the client and helping the business?
Yeah, I think, if you have a strong operations, it helps create that alignment. And, when the systems are very clear, like for instance, if marketing knows exactly what success looks like, sales trusts the quality of the opportunities that are coming in, and if the data that we have that we're tracking is accurate and clear, it helps leadership then make confident decisions, based on that data versus just making assumptions. So, I think that is a reason why I think many firms really benefit from working with an agency like ours rather than just keeping everything in-house. Chris and I were talking about this yesterday. We bring years of historical performance data and ongoing insights that, allow us to identify where firms can achieve the best cost per case, across different platforms and practice areas, where if the marketing's done in-house, they don't really have access to all of that data to go from. And we've been in the game for a really long time. And so we're able to, hit the ground running when somebody signs on with us.
Absolutely. And, Chris, I was hoping maybe you could further define, just for me, for our listeners, the exact sort of pain points and problems that firms and business owners and law firm owners are seeing and experiencing when they come to TSEG? What are those pain points and problems that TSEG is really helping them solve?
I could probably spend about 3 full hours just on that note. And one, it's because, yes, there are 1,000 problems out there, but something I'm truly passionate about. And I think we've grown because of that, right? I think a lot of our growth has become because of, hey, we're just fixing problems for our clients, right? Whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things, but if I had to pick a few, right? Like I'd say one, the tracking part. That's the biggest thing that we've already talked a ton through, but like trusting fluff numbers, like, oh, well, my visits are going up, or making assumptions with their marketing, right? If you're making an assumption like, well, I think most of my cases are coming from referrals, or I think most is coming from paid, like it's 2025, we can track everything. If you don't know that,
Right.
that's a problem. If you're working with a company who isn't telling you that, or you have no clue, you need to change it now, because you're making decisions for your firm, multi-million-dollar decisions based on guesses, and that's a place you never want to be.
Right.
I would say the other, I'll stick with three. The second biggest one I see is, you know, multi-million-dollar law firms trusting all their marketing decisions with a straight out of college person who knows a little bit
Right.
about marketing, right?
Right.
Or a friend of a friend who kind of knows marketing, and they don't want to do it, and they're business owners, so it's like, I'll just let so and so handle it. The problem is that person is going to come in and they're trying to do their best, right? But they're just not very knowledgeable in the space a lot of the times. They might have their own biases, and I've seen just one person completely ruin a firm just based on very broad decisions without a lot of thought into it. So for that reason, I think a huge mistake they make is not involving themselves in the big marketing decisions. Like, this is the driver of business for your firm. As a business owner, you should always be involved. Even if you bring in an expert, you should always be involved in those decisions. That's been a huge one right there. And then I'd say the last one that I see as a big problem is assuming your intake is good at what they do. We talked a lot about AI intake, and when we decided to really use an AI model that transcribes the calls, grades the calls, we did that because we had many clients that just would ignore it. They're like, no, my team is the best. My team is the best. And without it being right in their face as a big problem they need to fix, they would never fix it.
Right.
They'd go from marketing company to marketing company and be like, well, I'm not getting cases. I'm not getting cases. When in reality, all they had to do is fix their intake.
Right.
We've seen just identifying problems, firms doubling their cases. Just identifying an intake problem of, hey, you're not signing these people on the phone. You're not selling how good your firm is on the phone, right? You're just, hey, here's a retainer, sign with us. You're not saying, hey, we excel in cases just like this. Here's our verdicts, X, Y, and Z, why you should sign with us versus a competitor. Just that right there can double revenue, like overnight, which is such a big piece that we've kind of identified and helped our clients with.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. Shay, Chris defined for us kind of, some of those problems. Can you define for us maybe what it looks like if a firm should be using the help of a company like TSEG to address those problems, but they don't? I mean, what does the other side look like if they just keep on going, doing what they've always done?
I mean, they're going to see the same results and nothing's going to change. Their firm is not going to grow from there. They're going to keep wasting their marketing dollars on platforms. And I mean, even like Chris said, their internal intake teams, and not understand why they're not growing, and we're here not to poke holes in their business model or how it's functioning, but it's to help them. That's our purpose. Their success is our success at the end of the day.
Right. And, some of those problems that, Chris mentioned, is there anything that law firm owners, business owners can do or change about their day-to-day operations that would ensure that some of those issues just never arise?
Yeah. I mean, I think looking internally first. Intake has been the biggest issue that we've run into over the years. And so I think looking internally first, like what systems can we fix on our end? And so like with the AI systems we have put in place, we're able to actually, show them specifically, like this specific agent, that was handling this call could have done X, Y, and Z. This is where they missed the mark. This is, they could have signed this on the spot because the person already sounded like they were interested and open to signing a retainer, but you didn't send it over to them. Why is that? So I feel like, looking internally first to see what problems they can fix is the biggest thing. And then also just understanding, like, if they're working with a marketing agency, what is the main focus and goal of that agency for them, ensuring that, like Chris said, a lot of agencies just provide fluff metrics.
Right.
You can show up on Google all day on, in first position, but if you're not getting leads through the door and you're not signing those leads on the calls, then your business isn't growing.
Right. And I guess that kind of goes back to that notion of consistency, right? You have to be consistently following up. Can you talk about the role of consistency and what that means at TSEG?
Yeah. So, I would say, for instance, like our account managers, they do a great job of creating partnerships with their clients. And so we want to be in constant communication with them. We want to keep them updated with, the campaigns that we're running, the results that we're getting. I would say one big pain point that we run into a lot of times is that we have firms who are hesitant to provide us access to their CMS systems. And that doesn't provide us with the case feedback that we need. Getting that case feedback in real time, it can be a game changer.
Right.
Like, especially if you're running paid search, you're spending a lot of money like on Google ads. Every time somebody clicks on your ad, you're paying for that. And if we can see on our end, leads are coming in, things look great in the platform, but if we don't know if that case was signed or if it was qualified, then, at the end of the day, like it makes it more difficult for us to be able to optimize as needed. So I think having that open line of communication and that visibility into their CMS systems is huge for us.
Right.
And I'll add a little bit onto that.
Please do.
It's, a real consistent factor, right, is our team sets up monthly meetings with our clients. And when you set it up the right way, reviewing numbers is quick. It could be 15 minutes. Here's what we spent. Here's the ROI, blah, blah, blah. And then it's strategy, right? Just having that call, everyone gets so busy. Law firms are busy. Agencies are busy. If you're not having that monthly call to talk strategy, you're missing out, right? What we do is we bring in information that other clients are doing that are working, to our other clients, right? So they get to adopt new things, but just that consistent call, I think, is huge, right? As long as you have your systems in place and your meetings, you have those monthly calls to really talk strategy and see what you can keep improving on. And just by having that call, you're having the right conversations, coming up with ideas and moving forward.
Yeah, I think that allows for a platform for us to be able to present new ideas to them on areas where they could expand, on shifting budget, on adding more budget in places where we're seeing really good results. If you're not having those consistent phone calls and those conversations with the clients, then nothing's ever going to change. And so I think, it's really important for that to be kind of understood from the beginning whenever a client signs with us in particular, that we want to have that constant communication with them so that we can, help them grow their business as needed.
Right. Well, Chris, you and I had talked a little bit about some of the digital case acquisition, and I'm going to use a buzzword on you guys now, so I'm sorry. But Chris, I was hoping you could kind of share with our listeners a little bit about the impact of AI and what that is going to, or is already doing, to the case acquisition space and to the legal space.
Yeah, it's like that's everyone's favorite buzzword, like you said now, AI. And it should be. It's a huge deal, and everyone should be using it every single day and using it the right way. But it's, again, at the end of the day, it's just another tool, right? Like it's an amazing tool. It's a game-changing tool, but whoever uses it the right way is going to win. Just like, when you're doing SEO on Google, right? Everyone has the kind of the algorithm and their approach. Whoever maneuvers it the right way and puts the right thing is going to show up. It's the same deal for us. Now, when it comes to processes, you should be doing more for the same, right? We've developed, our own AI system called TSEG Logic,
Mm,
where we apply AI to everything that we do. And what that
wow.
does is it cuts our costs, and we're just able to produce more and more and more for our clients. We also spent the entire year, reverse engineering the algorithm of the AIs, right? ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, so on and so forth, to figure out what they are looking at when they're recommending a lawyer,
Mm,
asking it all the questions, and it pretty much tells you, which is the cool part of AI.
right.
So we developed that strategy into all of our clients from a paid ad standpoint and SEO standpoint, to really see what they want. And
Mm,
it's a lot of the times it's not what you're saying about yourself, it's about what others are saying about you. So, you know, 3-step approach, we have our clients doing stuff that only they can do, like peer reviews is huge. We
mm,
saw that a lot of the AI platforms were really looking at what their peers were saying about them. We are developing a new product called the Law Guide, which we are building specifically around writing about our clients, blogging about our clients' successes, sending signals to their websites, because that's what AI is looking for. So, at the end of the day, I think the AI tools are significantly helping us. But when you have these companies out there, it's like AI is all you need to do. Sign up for our, $500 a month service and put it on your website. You don't need to do anything else. Like that's pretty
right.
hilarious and is an absolute joke, because it's just, you do that, sure, you'll probably get okay results, but you're not going to show up and you're not going to
Right.
get the cases.
Right. And Shay, what impact has AI had in your role at TSEG? I have to imagine it's been pretty insane and pretty impactful, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Chris said, I mean, AI is amazing. There's so many tools out there. I feel like every other day there's a new one popping up. And obviously, we want to sift through and figure out which ones work best for us. And then sometimes at the end of the day, we build something that really is going to be beneficial for us. We don't have a tool that necessarily we can purchase that's going to give us the data that we need. And so we're able to utilize various things to build, you know, in AI driven processes.
Right.
And so, I think it's allowed us, obviously, to learn from, performance data much quicker. It allows us to make our campaigns smarter. We can work faster. We're more effective. But I do believe that it takes a human being able, to work with AI to really allow you to innovate with purpose and it not
Right.
just be a bunch of noise.
Right.
So, hats off to our team again, because they're the ones that are kind of driving the ship and they're the ones figuring out these systems, implementing things and using AI to the best of their ability to make us better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to throw this question out to the both of you. I'm going to throw this one open to the room here, because it might be the same story for all I know. But when you both think back on all of the businesses, all of the law firms, everyone that you've been able to help through TSEG, is there a story of either a client or a firm that you really saw a positive transformation in as a result of TSEG's help and guidance?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite story is we had a client who was a part of a big firm, older firm that wasn't very, innovative. They weren't wanting to aggressively market. And this firm wanted to market for car accident cases. They wanted, they're
Mm,
young, hungry, and they wanted to grow. So they took a huge risk. They left that firm, started on their own, and they had been marketing with us at the old firm. And they started on their own. It's Minter Vines in Kentucky. And I pointed to them when I talked about Nashville. They opened up their office in Lexington. They said, "Let's do it." We had to build a brand new from scratch website with no history, nothing at all.
wow.
Um, and they were really patient, right? When you're starting a brand new firm and a brand new website, it takes a while to rank. But they trusted us. They understood the process. Now they have multiple states, multiple offices, and they are setting a record month every single month right now. And it's just
Wow.
something so cool to see. I feel like I was a part of it. I feel like from the ground up, I feel like I'm a part of their firm, and it just brings me a ton of joy every time I see them have another record month.
Yeah, that's incredible. Shea, is there any other story, or was that your story? Did he steal your story?
I feel like that one is always the go-to. It's been really awesome to see that firm, like where they started and where they've gone now. And on the operations side, it's not like I'm having these conversations with the clients every day, but we're on the back end doing the work, and it's amazing to see the work that we do, that the team does, and the results that it can produce. And not only that, like we're helping the business grow, but we're also helping people find a firm that is producing amazing results for their clients. They're a firm that individuals who have been injured, they can trust, and I think at the end of the day, I always try and keep that in the back of my mind, that like, we're not only helping law firms, but we're helping individuals that have been injured find firms that can do the best work for them. That's
amazing. Well, Chris, Shea, this has been an absolutely incredible conversation. If anybody out there listening could use the help of TSEG, where can people find you guys?
You can go to our website, tseg.com. We also, our Instagram handle is TSEG Legal Marketing, so we can go there. Head to our website. There's tons of information on there. Like Chris said, we're rolling out a new product called TSEG Logic starting in January. So we're excited to get that ball rolling. So there's more information to come there. So definitely follow us, check out our site, and feel free to give us a call if you want to talk shop.
Fantastic. Chris, you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, our Instagram is pretty cool. We're always trying to give tips and, the next best thing. So I'd highly recommend to follow there, but also feel free to reach out to me directly. It's chris@tseg.com. And happy to help you, even if it's just some advice. But yeah, that's probably the best way to get in touch with us.
Awesome. Well, Chris, Shea, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Chris, Shea, thank you guys so much again.
All right,
thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.